Welcome to Season 2 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. We apologize for the slight echo in today's recording. We encountered a minor technical issue. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Hi, Barry. How are you today?
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm absolutely doing great. I don't have a single complaint.
Today's a cause for celebration. It's Anthony's birthday today.
I know.
And it is my 25th wedding anniversary, and together 28 years with Tammy.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, baby. Got you on my mind.
Oh, he's going into songs. This is a special day for sure.
Yeah, there's been a day I used to sing, huh?
Anthony turned 23 today. I sung him happy birthday in the kitchen.
I saw a picture of that, and then I also texted him happy birthday to the group chat. So.
That was great. Yeah, he's been getting lots of love this morning, and he's off to college, so he's spending his day
Today at school?
Yeah.
Learning. Good. You need to learn, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he can come back and teach us something.
Always. I keep learning from him.
You know,
Yeah.
the one thing that I cannot pick up from school is the new math that they do, right?
Oh, statistics.
I remember math.
Yeah.
Right? I remember math used to be 2 + 2 = 4 and all this stuff. And now you got, it's like MBA's got in there and completely picked it apart and made it so hard. I'm like, what?
Yes, and thank God I added a new team member who is majoring in finance.
I'm looking forward to meeting with him so we can go through some of that.
Later today. He'll be our numbers guy.
Nice.
Will come in handy.
Nice.
So,
well, let's get started on this podcast. Today we are in episode 6 of season 2, and this one is about building your team.
We're still talking about how to start a business.
Yes.
In this series.
This is the Business 101.
Building our team, right?
Right.
You have to have a team to be successful. You can't do it alone.
No, I've met a lot of people and they try to wear so many hats, and it comes down to the fact is how many of them are you and how many hours of the day are there for you to be the only person to get everything done.
Right. And even when you have a team, you do wear a lot of hats, right? Because you're constantly doing managerial tasks and supervising and, business planning and all of it. So there's a burnout period that happens.
Well, you're right. And that's where I was going to lead with this. If you sit there and try to do everything yourself, you're going to burn yourself out faster than you're going to get customers.
Definitely. So building a good team will help reduce that or prevent that from happening frequently. I'm sure it's going to happen every now and then, but if you do build the right team for your company, then it will be very smooth sailing.
Yeah, and I want to preface the fact that in last season 1 of the Biz Show, we have covered about interviewing and stuff like that. So this is not necessarily that, although it kind of follows the same line a little bit in hiring people and getting them on board and things like that. But it does have some departures from that. So on those key areas, we'll just skim through that because I'll put in the links in this, a link back to the podcast from season 1 that we cover that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're going to do a good job and thorough job in hiring, you won't have to have a lot of turnover, right? That's a big waste of time. And money.
I like that you said that, right? Because that's something I didn't think about. But, I do have some statistics from my past as a manager. I had in my departments one of the lowest turnover rates in the entire company. When I was at GE Capital, when I was all bases covered, when I was at Mighty Micro, I rarely had any people leave my departments.
That's a great
so my turnover was like 3%. Other departments were like 25, 30, 40% turnovers.
So it has to do a lot with your culture and morale too, not just hiring the right person, but how to keep them.
It is, and here's the thing, right? Just because the company has a culture, and by absolutely, a company should have a culture, and you should follow it the best you can, but you as a manager should also have your own culture, and how you treat and communicate with your employees is critical.
Definitely.
To keeping your talent.
Right. Good communication is key in every relationship.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing would be to identify where are you lacking? What is the need for your business?
What are your needs, right? So when you you say, okay, I need to hire people. Okay, what's the criteria? How are you hiring these people? Not necessarily how are you hiring, but what positions are they going to fill?
Yeah.
And
You
do
need to
your
identify that first.
right. And the best thing to do is if you don't know, for instance, okay, I need a customer service rep. Okay, but you don't have a job description for that. Go out on LinkedIn, go out in Indeed, and look at other companies and their job descriptions, and then take from that.
Right. I think that's why people don't hire, because they don't know how to structure it or be able to train somebody in all of the areas. They just get a little bit overwhelmed, right? So breaking it down into the bullet points and really maybe, like you said, following another model that another company is already using in place will just help you be able to, seamlessly ease into the process of hiring somebody and training them.
At least to get you on the right track. And we at InvestChoir can absolutely help you in this. Reach out to us. If you want us to hire people for you, you give us the criteria, we will do that. I've hired over and conducted over 4,000, 5,000 interviews and probably hired a good to 2,500 employees.
Yeah, just like running a company and being skilled and having expertise in that field, it's really great to hire somebody that has a skill and expertise in interviewing.
Well, interviewing in itself is an art form, right? And the thing is companies hire recruiters, and guess what they do? They're professional interviewers. Yeah. And they go to school, they learn how to interview people, how to ask open-ended questions pertaining to the job, look at body language, look at all these things. You, as an entrepreneur, you're getting into this, you don't know. You might don't fool yourself, you don't know.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I was in a state of desperation when I was just so incredibly busy and I could not manage the amount of business. And I was just like, please help, hiring people left and right. And, I wasn't putting the time and the expertise into the interview process, and, chose a couple people that kind of flopped in and flopped out really quickly. So, it just was a waste of time, because you get all geared up like, oh, great, I'm going to have help. And then you're like, oh, man, it just didn't work out. So don't be desperate.
The other thing I noticed too, and I've seen it, and I've been guilty of it way back in the beginning myself, is you have this job description in your mind, you interview the person, you like him, you hire him, you put him in a position, and you walk away. Well, you never got out of your mind into their mind what you want them to do.
Right.
So then they're just sitting around staring at the walls or playing games on their phone because you never told them what they need to do.
They also don't know what to do.
You've never given them instructions?
Your expectation doesn't match what they're able to perform.
Right. So let's be realistic here, right? Make sure that you define the needs of this. What skills are going to be needed, qualifications, what type of personality of that person do you want, right? Do you want a grumpy I shouldn't say old because I am old, but do you want a grumpy person who...
Grumpy young person too these days.
I think some of them are grumpier than me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what experience levels? And, I'm going to say something, right? I got 3 college degrees, right? One from Harvard, one from University of North Florida, my business administration, and one from University of Washington in communications. I don't care about those things. I mean, at one point, yes, I did, and they were important for the roles that I was taking on back in the day. However, today, I will hire somebody straight out of high school if they have the personality and they can be trained in what we need them to do, more so than hiring somebody straight out of college. Straight out of another company with all these years of experience. I'm not saying I'm going to hire one or the other. I'm just saying I will give them both a fair shake.
Right. You kind of touched on personality and cultural fit. Now you're talking about like experience level. Somebody young and fresh might be more trainable, right? Coachable to suit the style and the services that you want the business
it
to
is
perform. But
that takes time, right? Look at you, right? We're building a team. You're building a team on the real estate side. It's consuming all of your time. It's hard for me to get 2 minutes in with you anymore. But do you have that bandwidth? That's the thing, right?
Right.
At a certain point, you have to let them go and do their thing. So take a look at your bandwidth. Take a look at what you can accomplish yourself. Maybe you need to hire an experienced person with 20, 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
So that they can hit the ground with their feet already pedaling and running and go. You kind of just steer them in the right direction, let them go. And then perhaps they can also help mentor and coach and bring along some of the other new people. I say a blend of the two is great.
We do have a great blend of age groups. I have the young ones, fresh out of college. I have middle-aged, and then I have people that are my age on the team. So it's really a great mix. I'm so excited about the team expansion and all the different personalities and cultures that I have on my team. And so it's going to be fantastic once we get in a groove.
And let's just define something. We're talking right now about Bella Properties, which is the residential side of Lisa Manifold.
Yes, I do commercial property leasing and also residential, and we do multifamily and investments.
And then
we have investment.
And then we have
the
business side. Yes, exactly.
Business opportunities do come with real estate. So that's always a great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so building your team, looking at experience level, personalities, and then of course, what are the skills and qualifications that you need to have to make yourself more successful and be able to produce more?
Right. So, the next thing.
Find these people, Barry.
Well, if you've done a good job at creating your job description, the next thing to do is post it.
Yes.
Right.
And people always ask me that. Where do we post it?
Well, so there's different levels of posting, right? If you're looking for free, then you're going to be posting it on your social media. There are a few free websites out there that you can post job descriptions in. However, they don't have the traction that so for there, then you would move up to the paid, right? And the paid, you're going to be looking at ZipRecruiter, Indeed, LinkedIn, Glassdoor. Those are going to be the ones where you can post your job descriptions.
There's so many forums out there.
But here's another one, right? A lot of people overlook this. And you and I were just last month at trade shows and conventions and expos. Go to your Chamber of Commerce expo. There's a lot of people there, right? And look for the type of person that you're looking for to hire and start up a conversation with them.
Right. Networking.
That's free.
Networking.
Yeah, that's free, right?
That's free. Social media, it's free.
Yes.
It's always like somebody, people always feel I got hired because of somebody that I knew. And that really is the key. I like it. But then you'll maybe get a good person, right?
Tammy, my wife of 25 years and 28 together, she's never interviewed for a position. Never.
Wow. So it's always word of mouth.
It always has been word of mouth. She got a job because a bank manager was a friend of the family, so they just hired her and put her in way back in the day. And then that got sold off. The new bank president liked her, so he pulled her over. He pulled her to 3 different banks. Went from Surety Bank to YOLO Community Bank, a couple different banks.
So there's all these stepping stones.
Yeah, all these stepping stones.
In that industry.
And then from Stewart Title, a friend brought her over from Stewart Title. And the funny thing of it all is this. She ended up going on to manage all the businesses that she went to work for, right? And she hates management. She can't stand it. I would sit there at nighttime and just help her along. And say, okay, here's what's going on. And she's telling me, here's what's going on. I say, okay, try this, 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 and this.
Right.
But anyways, back to, off the tangents here.
There's also the industry-specific job boards, right?
Right. The job boards that, for instance, if you're looking for nurses and doctors, there's going to be medical. If you're looking for car salespeople or whatever the case, there's, job boards for that. Specifically salespeople more than cars, but nonetheless. Another thing too is look at, other sources of finding talent, your competitors.
Yeah, your competitors. Oh my gosh, because then you'll see who they're hiring. It might give you some insight.
Well, you might be able to poach one or two, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not condemning that. I mean, I'm not condoning that, but you never know who's happy and who's not happy and where they're at, right?
Well, freelance marketplaces too, right? So you might consider something like Upwork or Fiverr.
Well,
1099.
Those, bring them on as a 1099, give them a few projects. If they work out well, maybe have a conversation with them and bring them on board.
Positions.
Right.
Yeah. There's temp agencies, so that's also another option.
Exactly, temp agency.
Or ask your employees and see if they have a
Friend.
friend or relative.
That's when I worked at the general manager and district manager for a restaurant.
Yeah.
A lot of the employees had friends that the general managers would bring on board and stuff like that.
Right.
But you got to be careful because that forms little cliques.
Yes.
And then those little cliques become catty, and then the little catty leads to drama,
Yeah.
and then the drama leads to you as a manager having to jump in the middle and basically referee all the different little cliques and all this stuff.
Birds of a feather flock together, and people do that on company time. Not a good thing.
Yes.
Not a good thing. So when you're reviewing these resumes of these individuals, right, that's a very important part of the process of hiring someone.
It is, and so as resumes start to come in, right, you look at the qualifications, look at their experience, right?
Yeah.
You're also going to look at perhaps their education, but more importantly, look for the keywords. And when I say keywords, there's software out there that you may not be able to afford that actually takes resumes and grades them.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it misses a lot of stuff along the way.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to pick out their character.
Yeah.
Or any of that stuff.
And you can tell kind of by the choice of words, and when it's not computer generated resume and they actually put the time in to build it themselves, that the way they use adjectives or some verbs, that their words that they use, you could kind of get a sense of their personality.
I'm a wordsmith, right? In writing, I write really well.
Yeah.
Speaking, I speak okay, but I write better than I speak because I can take the time to sit there and think of the adjectives and the pronouns and
Yes.
all that stuff that I want to say.
I know. So, and a lot of times now people are just submitting resumes, and then the next step is to get on a Zoom or a phone interview. And, they don't never meet in person unless, they get to the third or fourth level of hiring. And so your phone interview is really crucial.
Well, that's the first.
Personality, the energy and the vibe to that call if you're, the one that's, applying for the job.
Well, that's one of the first steps, right? After you've gone through the resumes, also take a look at the cover letters too. Because that'll have a wealth of information. But the next step is the phone interviews, the screening process. Now, let's say you've collected 10 resumes. Out of those 10 resumes, you're probably going to have 7, maybe 8, 9, or 10 phone screenings. That's where you get on the phone, you get to hear their voice, you get to talk to them a little bit.
Eliminate a lot on that phone.
I've eliminated a lot, yes.
Yes. And because you're verifying the qualifications, if they don't match the resume, it's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I ask questions, right? Again, ask open-ended questions. Ask open-ended questions about their previous jobs and projects that they've worked on.
To see if they can expand and articulate well, and how they speak, if they're professional or not, or kind of using slang. And that will really tell you a lot just on the phone screening process. And you're assessing basically their communication skills. I mean, if they're going to be in the forefront in the position that you're hiring for, you want them to have very excellent communication skills. So
exactly. You're also gauging their level of interest, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a phone screen, someone might be like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, I did this, yeah, I did that. You can tell the enthusiasm's not there or whatever. So
kind of like when you go on a date and you see this person just be so excited to be hanging out with you and getting to know you on that first screening date, asking lots of questions, having a great conversation, and then all of a sudden you never hear from the person again. You go on the job, and then you're calling them, and they're like, oh, they're not answering. They probably found something better, right?
Either they found something better or their interest level just wasn't there.
Exactly.
But they were being kind.
They did fake it.
They
faked it very well.
I hate that. I mean, I did it, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I just posted on LinkedIn, somebody said, what do you think of this? Fake it till you make it. Yay or nay? And I put nay. And the reason I did put nay because if you fake it until you make it, the problem is you're setting yourself up for failure in the aspect is, okay, you're faking along the way, so you're going to make many mistakes along the way. Those mistakes aren't going to leave you, right? And you're wasting time.
You fail forward, though. You make the mistakes. If you're one to learn from them, you could be very successful because you learn from the mistake. I mean, and
True, it goes
you can
both
make one
ways.
mistake.
But the other side of it is you're wasting all this time faking it when you actually could spend all that time learning how to do it right.
Yeah.
So
Different styles.
different styles.
Different strokes, different folks.
Right. And not one's right, not one's wrong. Just my opinion
Basically, two would be ideal.
yeah, you got to do what you have to do. I get that. I understand that. But, you got to sit there and think about if you're faking it and you screw up with this client and you screw up with the next client, guess
Then
what?
you're not-
Referrals and
Yeah.
your reputation is going to take a hit.
Right.
And now you have to recover. So instead of starting at
Yes.
ground level, now you're starting in a hole.
Right. And some people learn differently. They learn by doing,
Yeah,
actually doing the task. But anyway, we're going off on a tangent.
we are.
So yeah, create a comfortable atmosphere when you're doing the face-to-face interview, so you can
So face-to-face interview, right? Yeah.
to relax.
So,
Relax, they might add them more and be able to expand more and feel comfortable talking to you.
yeah, and I've said this last one, I'm just going to briefly cover it again. For me, relaxing, I always take them out to the kitchen. Let's grab a cup of coffee or water or whatever you want on the way and stuff like that. So kind of just breaking the ice. Hey, how are you? How was the traffic? Blah, 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 blah. Small talk, just trying to ease into a conversation before you get back to your office or meeting room or wherever to get into the meat potatoes of the interview.
Yeah, you might have a list of questions that you want to make sure you cover and then see how it branches out from there in the interview. And like Barry mentioned earlier, you're going to evaluate their body language, maybe their eye contact. Maybe if they smile while they're talking.
Ask open-ended questions and do not ask leading questions. Don't lead them along, right? Because you in your mind have a idea of what the position is and the skills, so on and so forth. So
basically, you're doing the interview for them if you're going to be leading them into an answer. Let it come from them, is what you're saying.
And when I first started out, I will be honest, I spoke most of the time during the interviews, telling them about the company and the position and the employees and all that stuff. And then
you didn't take the time to get to know them.
Exactly.
And then you left and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want them or not.
So today, some 40 years later,
Yeah.
I've learned, right? And now I don't hardly talk but maybe 10% of the time
Right.
in an interview.
Yeah, my daughter Danielle went on an interview several years ago, and they asked so many questions just about like lifestyle and family and just different values, just to see if she could give some stories behind those answers. And it had nothing to do with the job. And she left there saying, Mom, you wouldn't believe these questions they asked me. Not that they were like really personal, but they were just really diving into maybe my psychology. She was thinking how she would get along with others and be a team player and that sort of thing.
Right.
And they wanted her to answer with stories and with questions that had nothing to do with the job.
Typically, when I hire somebody,
That's interesting.
I always have them take the Briggs-Myers test.
Yeah.
There's an online free one, but it does give a report, and I have them send me the report.
Yeah.
So I can see where they're at and see how they're going to not compare, but work well with others and myself and what type of person they are.
Yeah, some companies do like scenario questions. If you could get a project done in time, how would you handle that?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to give them a hypothetical situation. Here's the situation. Okay, you're in charge of it. How are you going to handle it?
Right.
I don't give them A, B, or C. You tell me how you're going to handle it.
Exactly.
So make sure on that face-to-face interview, again, it's a comfortable place. Ask open-ended questions. Don't lead them. And be prepared, right? So have notes about them already. You should have already reviewed their resume. You should have probably already had a phone interview with them. And you probably got more questions from that phone interview to ask them in person. So now comes the next thing. You've narrowed it down. You find your people. Now you're going to hire them. So now you need to make the offer, right?
Make the offer the exciting part, right? So you're going to formalize it in writing. It could be an email.
It could be an email, whatever. Just make sure that you put it in there. You put, some of the specifics. Now, the law requires certain things, right? So obviously they need to know how much money they're working for, right?
Sometimes that comes up in the interview, but You definitely want to put that in writing.
And let me we could talk about that. We could make a whole podcast about the negotiation of salaries and stuff like that.
Oh, that
right?
would be a fun one.
Maybe we'll do that next week in the next podcast. But nobody wants to be the first one to throw out a number out there, because whatever number is thrown out there, that's the highest number, and then the next person is going to lowball you, right? So look at Glassdoor, look at LinkedIn, look at all these job boards. In the state of California, you are now required by law to put the salary in the job description, in the job posting, right? It needs to be there.
Oh, that's a requirement.
It's a requirement by law. So have a scale, right? So you should know the scale. Maybe it's from $65,000 to $75,000 is how much you're willing to pay per year.
Yeah, sometimes there's ranges.
There's a range, and that range is going to be based on experience and things like that. So nothing wrong with that. But just have that range already in place. Typically, you as the employer, you're going to try to go on the low side, and typically as a
they want to start high. There's a meeting in the middle.
You as an employer should expect a negotiation. I expect 2 rounds of negotiations when I say a number. Okay, I'm going to hire you at $75,000, and then they're going to come back at $85,000, and then I'm going to come back at $79,000, $80,000, or $81,000.
Yeah,
right?
And sometimes the employer might do like an after probationary period of time of 90 days, then they'll do the increase.
That's all fair game.
A tiered structure.
What's not really fair game nowadays is stock options and ownership in the company. People have gotten away from that because it's, excuse my language here, BS.
That's why.
It is.
That they think,
because it's on paper. But the thing is on paper, then you got to pay taxes on that paper or something you don't have.
Right.
Because now you have to claim that stock that you get in a company, and you're paying taxes on it. So a lot of employees, including myself, are like, forget it. I don't want anything to do with that. Just give me the dollar amount. It's all about the hard-earned nickelbacks.
Right. So sometimes the candidate might have to take your formalized offer and take a day or 2 or a week to think about it, or maybe they're still interviewing other places and they want to compare.
You should give them 2 days. 2 days to compare, 48 hours. But to sit down and talk with their loved ones, their wife or whatever, especially if there's talk about, travel or long commute time, stuff like that, right? People have to not necessarily weigh their options, but they have to look at what the consequences are for them.
Yes. And then if you do end up hiring them and they agree to the offer, you would do some onboarding with them.
Right.
Getting all of their tax forms in place, the W-4s.
This is where companies, or not necessarily companies, but this is where a lot of small companies fall flat on. You are required to get legal IDs, Social Security. You're required to e-verify them that they're authorized to work in the United States.
Exactly.
If not, you, the employer, can be fined up to $10,000 per employee and go to jail for a year.
Yeah, not good.
So at least make sure, at least in some states, not all states, but again, we're talking California because that's where we're at. You are required by law to verify they're not an illegal alien, they're not from Mars, right? And you probably knew that because they weren't green when they walked in the door and glowing, right?
Employers like those types of employees, then they could pay them at a lower pay scale.
Well, that may be, and I'm not here to say yay or nay. I'm just trying to keep you out of legal trouble.
Yes, exactly.
Right, so make sure.
Documents, everybody, and have a file for each employee, right? You're going to have to keep things in there like reviews and the days that they took off of work and, their schedule. How did they attend to their job?
Yep, exactly.
Keep everything in writing, keep a file on them, collect everything up front that you need to get them going and onboarded.
You, for instance, if you require your employee to drive somewhere on company time, you need to have their insurance on file.
And they have to name you as the employer as the addition.
Exactly.
And you could require a certain amount. Right. So all these things, and again, we at InvestQuire can help you get through that if you don't know. Yeah.
So then, the first day of job, right? Be prepared. I don't know how many times I've seen this where an employee shows up for work and they're like, oh, okay, great. Hey, here you are. And yes, it's like, no. With my larger companies had HR, we had an onboarding and orientation phase. Sometimes it was 3 days, sometimes it was 5 days, depending on the size of the company. And we would go through the company history, who the officers are, all the different departments, and then specifically break into groups of your marketing, your sales, your accounting, your tech. And then, get to know, and then take them on a tour of the space, walk them around, show them where the bathrooms are, the printers are, the kitchen, and how to use the coffee machine and stuff like that. And then also make sure you have a space for them, a desk with a computer, a phone, if that's what they need, right? If you're a retail.
Working in the brick and mortar setup. Right?
So many times I see that is not the case.
What, not having their own space?
Not having their own space, or IT hasn't got their IDs and passwords set up. I've seen it where an employee has sat around for an entire week.
Yeah.
An entire week waiting to get connected to be able to do anything.
Exactly.
So
then you're onboarded, the employee has their own space and set up nicely, they were welcomed into the company, and now you're at the point where you want to make sure they're performing. Right? So the employee has been hired, you think it's going to be great, and you're looking at them and you're like, okay, let's see how their progress is going.
Yeah.
Are you providing them feedback and guidance?
That's the key. That's key right there. If you're not providing feedback and communication to them.
Yeah, they're still kind of like in that early phase of getting settled in. So
right.
Definitely, be a little bit soft on them, but definitely monitor them and see
guide them in the right direction, right?
And always positive criticism, I believe in.
Yep. Definitely so. If they're
successes, that's really going to keep their confidence in their position.
Right. Right. Definitely. You got to celebrate those successes.
So hopefully this was helpful to you, the audience, and we want you to get the most out of our podcast. So feel free to leave us a note on the Biz Show, on our Facebook page. If you have any needs, suggestions, ideas for us to talk about, we would welcome those comments.
And you can also catch us at investquire.com for Lisa and Barry. We've enjoyed today. Today was a fun topic.
Right.
We always enjoy talking about this. All right, guys. Well, listen, have a great day. Go out there, make some money, hire some employees, and let's be successful, huh?
Talk to you next time. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.